welcome to another analysis behind the news. Are you watching what is happening in the socialist utopia of Venezuela? They are having an economic crisis that has caused food shortages, widespread hunger, and looting. Why? Because socialists think they can manage the economy better than the free market. So, do you think the government would take responsibility for this and work toward fixing it? The Miami Herald reports, facing a bread shortage that is spawning massive lines and souring the national mood, the Venezuelan government is responding this week by detaining bakers and seizing establishments. In a press release, the National Superintendent for the Defense of Socio-Economic Rights, yeah, that's a real department, said it has charged 4 people and temporarily seized 2 bakeries as the socialist administration accused bakers of being part of a broad economic war aimed at destabilizing the country. And their crime? The government said the bakers had been selling underweight bread and were using price-regulated flour to illegally make specialty items like sweet rolls and croissants. You can't make this stuff up. The government said bakeries are only allowed to produce French bread and white loaves with government-imported flour. However, in a tweet on Thursday, price control czar William Contreras said only 90% of baked goods had to be price-controlled products. So, the bakers have stringent rules they must abide by in the production process as well as in the sales process. It appears they are doing what they can, but where is the real problem? The article continues. The government isn't importing enough wheat, he said, and he is Juan Crespo, the president of the Industrial Flour Union, which represents 9,000 bakeries nationwide. He says, if you don't have wheat, you don't have flour. If you don't have flour, you don't have bread. He said that the country needs 4 30-ton boats of wheat every month to cover basic demand. The notion that the bread would become an issue in Venezuela is one more indictment of an economic system gone bust. The country boasts the world's largest oil reserves, but it has to import just about everything else. Facing a cash crunch, the government has dramatically cut back imports, sparking shortages, massive lines, and fueling triple-digit inflation. So the government blames those that are abiding by these rules to cover up for its own mistakes. And then later in the article, the paper reports that a new government program will not allow people to line up for bread. It's going to outlaw bread lines. But yet it doesn't mention how it would enforce this directive. Well, perhaps all it needs to do is to pass an amendment to its constitution so they can have a right to food. You can see where we're going on this, can't you? Because in 1999, according to, the Solutions Journal, its newly reformed constitution guaranteed its citizens the right to food through a secure national food supply based on sustainable agriculture as a strategic framework for rural development to be carried out through a series of laws, institutes, and programs. And sure enough, when you download the 86-page Constitution that they have, Article 305 outlines this. Now, based on this, what do you think we would find regarding their other rights? Article 82 and 83 of their Constitution denotes that health is a fundamental social right and that the state guarantees the right to health by administering a national public health system. So how's that going? A quick Google search turns up this headline and many other related. Doctors in Venezuela, universal healthcare system in collapse. Breitbart published that one in 2013. In December of 2015, the BBC reported Venezuelan healthcare in collapse as economy ails. In January of 2016, Venezuela's parliament declared a national emergency. Do you see a pattern here? When you look at their constitution, it's page after page after page of rights and how the state will provide them. Compare that with the U.S. Constitution in that it limits the government and not the people. The state grants the rights in Venezuela and can either take them away or fail miserably at the job. Our founding documents point to inalienable rights from our Creator, God, that do not need to be granted to us by government. In fact, the Constitution severely limits the government's involvement in this area. Yet, what is currently being debated in Congress? Whether or not to get rid of ObamaCare and replace it with RynoCare. So we're going to replace a fast-acting cancer with one that grows much more slowly? What good is that, and why are Republicans on board with this? When you listen to the complaints about the problems of health care, we need to keep in mind that it's government that is creating these problems. So why should we allow government to continue managing an area that, according to the Constitution, it has no jurisdiction over? Before Obamacare, it's been reported that the healthcare industry was about 70% controlled by the federal government, mainly through Medicare and Medicaid. Instead of allowing the federal government to have any say at all in matters that it shouldn't we be pulling government out of the industry to ensure that it doesn't get micromanaged to death like it is in Venezuela? Unlike Venezuela, we do have the option of making this a freer country. Tell Congress to repeal and keep repealing until the federal government is brought back into its constitutional limitations. And we'll leave you with this today. British Prime Minister Theresa May indicated that she will trigger Article 50 next week, which will officially notify the European Union that the UK is leaving. According to the BBC, this comes 9 months after a referendum that saw the UK vote itself out of the EU called Brexit. Once Article 50 is triggered, official talks on terms of exit and future relations can begin. The negotiations are supposed to be wrapped up by sometime in March of 2019. You can bet that the globalists will not go quietly into the night and will do whatever they can to slow this down and cause as much pain to the UK as it can to make an example of why countries need regional government and eventually world government. To learn how you can help stop the plans of the globalists, visit jbs.org and join. And be sure to like and share this video with family and friends. Sign up for our e-newsletters and subscribe to our social media channels. Until next time, we'll see you then.